What is going on, Seminoles Nation? We are back with Florida State Live at the Voice of College Football. It is I am Matthew Lennox, and as you can see, I now have a co-host.
Indeed, you
I
do.
want everybody. I want everybody to welcome my guy Jacob Smith from FSU Wire, which is also where I write. So tell everybody about yourself, Jacob.
How doing? My name is Jacob, as he mentioned. I am a student at Florida State, currently a writer for both Tomahawk Nation and the FSU Wire. I was actually brought onto the show thanks to Matthew's buddy, and when I got that Twitter DM, not gonna lie, I thought it was a scam, but here we are. We made it. And today we're just going to be hosting a brand new show, Florida State Primetime Live, the first episode. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes well. But we got a good show for you here today. We got Florida State playing UNC, and FSU is actually trailing by not a huge margin. They're only trailing by 6 at the first half. We also got some transfer portal news for y'all, and we're just going to have a good time. So, Matt, where do we even start?
Well, unfortunately, but predictably, a lot of players have entered the transfer portal for Florida State. As a matter of fact, I think after today now, they are up to 30 that have entered the portal over the last 2 weeks, which is a ton. But that's something that you have to expect when you only win 5 games and you win 7 games over a 2-year span. As we know in this day and age, winning probably means more now than it ever has, because when you're not winning, guys are going to literally leave. You couldn't do that back in the day. You couldn't just hop in a portal and go to another team. You had to stick it out. So, yeah, man. I knew a lot of guys were going to go. Don't get me wrong, and I'm pretty sure you did as well. We talked about it in the chat with the FSU Wire, but 30 is a lot in just a few weeks. And I know you follow it on Twitter too. It seemed like almost every hour I was getting a notification about, from Hayes Fawcett from On3 that another guy was going to the portal from Florida State. It's just like, there were so many that I couldn't keep up. Me and JD were literally writing articles simultaneously about guys going to the portal. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot, man. And, I said expect it, but I didn't know it was going to be this many so fast. I thought maybe once we got deeper into the bowl season, that maybe that would happen. But it started immediately, like right after they played Florida. Guys were already being pulled out. So, we're just going to talk about that, man. And for me, I think the position that got hit the hardest would probably be safety. Losing Edwin Joseph was big. That was one of our starting safeties. Edwin Joseph, been for 3 years, but this year he, was really starting to, make some strides here and there. He ended up with 51 tackles and 7 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, 12, pass breakups. I was really hoping that he would come back. But like I said, with everything that's going on right now, you got to kind of expect some of these guys to want to go to greener pastures and maybe play on some better teams. And then just the other day, Ashton Barker, who was, he had a nice year. He was showing some strides this year, with 48 tackles and 5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 2 pass breakups. And then when you add on the fact that, it's not a portal, but Earl Little Jr. declared for the draft today. So I think that puts safety, it kind of moves it up. Maybe it wasn't the highest position, initially, but now with, your 3 starting guys gone, I think that puts it, as a pretty high portal need for Florida State now.
Yeah, and to your point on the transfers, I feel like safety has been now one of the biggest position of needs, because you have Ashland Barker now in there, you have Edwin Joseph, and who's to say that there's not going to be more people entering that transfer portal in the next couple of weeks? It's going to be crazy after the national championship. It's going to be crazy in the off season, and I think the public trust in Mike Norvell has eroded somewhat after the last 2 seasons, but this is still a coach who's had a top 20 recruiting class since 2023. 2026, he's still ranked as the 14th best in the nation. So it's not, I think they will manage through it, but the sort of talent development that you have come to expect from college football over the last 20, 30 years has kind of been thrown to the wayside in favor of this transfer portal.
Yeah, because it's like now, as I was mentioning earlier, you don't, it's so easy to go from team to team now. It's like, teams going to look at it. Well, if a guy doesn't develop, we can just go in the portal and grab another guy. And I think, the portal has a lot of benefits, but it's also hurting the game too. Because now, I think, like you said, like the development part doesn't matter as much, because you can go somewhere and not really get developed, not really play a whole lot, get a lot of burn, but then you can throw yourself in the portal and get yourself in a better situation, which, I understand it. Guys want to play, and then, there's the NIL factor and all that. And, money talks. Let's just call it what it is. But, grass is not always greener on the other side. As you see, the old Florida State quarterback, wasn't it Trevor Jackson, I believe it was, who left Florida State. He's back in the portal again after like 1 year. So, like I said, there are benefits to it. It gives guys chances to go play elsewhere, when they don't get a lot of burn somewhere. But it's also, I think it's hurting the development part, because you don't have to develop as much, because now you can just go in a portal and just go somewhere else. So that's one of my drawbacks about the portal.
And, I feel like having, these kind of 1 year rental quarterbacks, there hasn't been much of a storyline that Florida State has been able to kind of cling to with their quarterback play. With Jordan Travis, we had him from like late 2021 to the end of 20, or even earlier than that, to the end of 2023. So I think the current era of transfer portal and just quarterback play in general, and in particular, really has been kind of the focal point of the transfer portal. So, Castellanos was denied his waiver to play for another season. And so is there a player that you're kind of eyeing in this portal, maybe even someone in the high school level that you're seeing could start for the Seminoles next season?
Well, I know they are interested in, I can't pronounce his last name, Anthony, I hate that I messed up his last name, the UNLV quarterback. The one who they said that they're really going to be taking a look at, in the portal. I think that's the name that kind of sticks out, for me. Of course, they still have, Kevin Sperry and, Jaden, O'Neal, who was the big quarterback pickup, the guy they flipped from Oklahoma. But I just think that, they've whiffed 2 years in a row on quarterbacks in the portal. DJ Uiagalelei, who was a complete disaster last year. And then, Tommy Castellanos, he made good on his word the first game against Alabama. But, that was pretty much his moment for the entire season. He wasn't consistent. He missed a lot of open guys. I don't think he, went through his progressions enough as a quarterback. I think he got happy feet. He pulled the ball down and ran way too much for me. So that's one of the things that kind of give me pause with them when it comes to transfer portal quarterbacks, because they've whipped 2 years in a row. And we've had only 7 wins in the last 2 years with 17 losses. And a lot of it has been because of bad quarterback play. So, I think, the UNLV quarterback is the one that kind of sticks out as far as the portal goes, because he's the one that's been linked to them the most. But of course, I still hope that Kevin Sperry comes in and, competes. And I hope Jaden O'Neal, he's not a perfect prospect or anything. He was a kind of fringe 4-star. Some recruiting sites had him as a high 3. So you don't expect the guy to come in like that and just blow the doors off or anything like that. But I know that they're going to dip heavy into the transfer portal, and we know that that's just how Florida State has operated over the last few years. So and quarterback, is probably the top one. That's probably the top spot that they're going to look at, because, like I said, you have Sperry and you have Jaden O'Neal, but you don't have any real, especially O'Neal, you don't have any college tape on him, and Sperry only, a play here, a play there. So Quarterback would be high again. It's just with the last 2 years, man. Transfer portal quarterbacks for Florida State anyway. It kind of scared me a little bit.
Yeah, that's totally fair. But Anthony Calandri, as you mentioned, of the UNLV
That's
Rebels.
it.
Yep. 23 touchdowns on the year, 3,459 yards, 8th in the country, only 9 interceptions, a loss in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl to Ohio, but UNLV finished 10-4 last season. So I feel like having a quarterback competition between the three could be like extremely positive for the team. I mean, if Calandria were to sign with Florida State, obviously that would put 3 on the roster at the moment. But I mean, do any of those 3 like stand out to you between Calandria, Sperry, and O'Neal?
I mean, Calandria sticks out the most because he's done it on the college level. You know what I'm saying? Like, experience is the best teacher. So, I think Sperry is probably the one that I'm rooting for the most. I think he might have the most upside out of him and O'Neal. I think it's kind of close. And I think, Sperry kind of, fits the kind of quarterback that Mal Zane likes, the kind of, dual threat guy. But if I had to pick one that stands out, especially out of the 2 that are on the roster, it would probably be Sperry a little bit over O'Neal. What about you?
I played as Sperry in College Football 26, the video game, so I kind of have to give him a little bit of. But O'Neal is a 4-star quarterback, as you mentioned, the 4th best out of the state of Oklahoma, 6'3", 215. I mean, I'm not going to fault a guy for, like saying he was going to go to Oklahoma with any transfers. I'm not faulting, players for, changing their minds, decommitting. But I feel like O'Neal definitely could be the guy in the future. I'm feeling kind of on the O'Neal train, if you will.
Okay, I got you. And it's kind of funny because I think Florida State flipped both of those guys from Oklahoma.
Flip both Sperry and O'Neal?
Yeah, O'Neal, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, something about those Oklahoma guys, they end up flipping, coming back here. But, I totally understand where you're coming from. O'Neal has a, rocket for an arm. He has a lot of, they both have a lot of upside. And like you said, if you get old boy from UNLV in here, with those 2, that would be an interesting competition. Of course, Anthony would have the leg up because of his experience. But that's one of the reasons why I would like to see him come in here, even though, like I said, the transfer portal quarterback scared me for us. But the production that he's had, the experience that he's had, and it can push these young guys. So I'm actually hoping that they do. It's crazy because I'm weary of it, but I am kind of hoping they bring him in too. It's kind of weird, you know what I'm saying? Because we need some more firepower quarterback. So yeah, that's kind of how I am on it. But just to dive in a little more to some of these portal guys, what's the one that stands out to you that you think hurts Florida State the most as far as the guys that they've lost?
I mean, I'm kind of torn between our running back room. I feel like that just was kind of decimated over the end of the season until now. I mean, we lost Sawchuk, if I recall correctly, and that's just a big loss. So, running back, as we mentioned, and safety, as we mentioned, I think are going to be the 2 kind of big pieces that they're going to have to focus on in this offseason, in addition to quarterback. I mean, they're kind of building the plane as they're flying it, to be honest with you. I mean, you have a really tough schedule going into this year. You have to face at Alabama, hosting Florida, Clemson, Virginia, SMU, Miami, Louisville, Pitt. I mean, none of those are easy wins. I mean, New Mexico State, Central Arkansas, I mean, those are kind of your only 2 real cakewalks. I mean,
right.
There's no free wins in college football anymore.
Yeah. Those are kind of the East Texas A&M and Kent States from this year. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, Jalen Lucas, he had 173 yards rushing, 127 receiving while he was here, but it just seemed like they could never consistently get him, involved in the game plan. He had little flashes, but especially the big 64-yard catch he had against Bama when he was going down the sidelines. That's probably the best play he made. But there was a lot of hope for Cam Davis. He was a 4-star guy out of Georgia. Remember last year he just you know, he kind of had a fumbling issue, and then he just couldn't, consistently show. I mean, flashes were there. I mean, he had 224 yards in his time here in 2 years and 67 receiving yards. But I think he's the one that I hate that didn't work out. 'Cause I had really high hopes for Cam Davis doing it. Then Sawchuk was our leading runner this year, so that's definitely going to hurt. Yeah, running back is definitely, it's probably a position that people not talking about enough as far as transfer portal, but you're losing three guys, especially your lead runner. I think that puts it in play as a very important position in the portal too. So
definitely. And do you think this is like a case of the staff clearing out dead weight, or are we watching a roster collapse because maybe the players just are no longer believing in the direction of the program? I mean, I feel like it'd just be interesting to see like whether the coaching staff can realistically replace like 10 plus starters through the portal. I mean, without destroying team chemistry. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, I think it might be a little bit of both, man. I think they're kind of trying to weed out the weak, but I think also I don't think a lot of guys believe in where the program's going forward. I mean, I think a lot of guys like Norvell as a person. I've told a lot of people that, I mean, if you want to go by who's liked as far as coaches go, Norvell's probably at one of the top, coaches in the country. Even during the season, you had guys. I mean, I think it was Evan Jones was one that was tweeting their support for him, during the year. Guys were posting on Instagram how much they loved them and all that, and all that's fine. Being liked is a good quality, but this isn't the business of being popular. This is the business of wins and losses. And he hasn't found a way, outside of, I mean, he's been in 6 years and you've had 4 bad years and 2 good years. You know what I'm saying? So your percentage, 2 out of every 3 years, you've been bad. You know what I'm saying? You've had 1 good year out of every 3-year span, on average, and I just think it's a combination of both, man. I think, they're not developing guys. Whatever they're preaching or whatever they're trying to sell is not going well. And I also think, guys are they want to go elsewhere. They want to play and they want to be developed. They want to be coached. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, you watch sports long enough. The best players always want to be coached hard. They want to be coached the hardest, actually. So there's some kind of disconnect with this staff and these guys that they're bringing in, because I mean, you look at, Jesse Harold, the 4-star, edge, and, Mario Nash, they both went to the portal and didn't even, see the field, and so something's off. I don't know what it is, but there's some kind of disconnect there, man. These guys are not getting developed, and in this day and age, when you got the NIL and you got the chance to go elsewhere, I mean, guys are going to leave. Especially when you're not winning. I mean, yeah, and you see, guys are leaving Alabama and leaving schools like Ohio State, and these schools are winning. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not winning, it's just you're just, you're setting yourself up for failure. So I think it's a little bit of both, man. The message is not getting across, and also, guys are just not getting developed at the rate that, we as fans would hope.
So how do you fix that? I mean, is it enough to just, throw more money at the program, or do you think that there's kind of a clean house going on with the staff? I mean, we saw Patrick Surtain Sr. be let go a couple of weeks ago. So which one is it? Or is it a combination of both, like you've mentioned?
I think it's a combination. I mean, the thing about, Sir Tam was one of our better, recruiters and one of our better developers. So I was actually shocked when he was one of the guys that we let go. I thought I had him locked in as one of the guys that was going to be back, as far as, staff wise. So, I mean, I just think they have to do a cleaning house, all over. I mean, it's not just the players, it's the staff. You see, we got a new director of player personnel has come in, a new, general manager is here now. So it's just wholesale changes, man. And you got to expect that when you lose 17 games in 2 years. You know, it won't just be the players. You know, it's got to be the staff also, because you got to get this direction going somewhere. I mean, obviously, the brand of Florida State is still powerful because
Oh yeah.
to only win 7 games in 2 years and still have a top 15 class just proves how powerful the brand is. Because most schools that go through a drought like that, you're not going to have a top 15 recruiting class. Now, granted, for Florida State standards, top 15, it's not bad. It's actually pretty damn good. But you know, this program and what we're about, you know, we need top 10, top 5 type classes. So they still have work to do there. But, you know, there's just not a lot of schools that can lose 17 games and still have a top 15 class. So they do deserve some kind of credit for that, because something is working some kind of way. Because, I mean, guys have seen this debacle the last 2 years, and we literally signed 30 players during the early period. So, you know, something's clicking, but there's some kind of disconnect somewhere because guys are still leaving also. So, yeah, that's just kind of where we at with Florida State right now.
Well, I will say the basketball program has been looking much better than the football program in recent years. Right now, they are actually trailing to UNC at UNC by just 3 points into the second quarter with 15 minutes to go. And, you know, kind of a basketball guy here, I will say that, but Florida State is number 3 nationally in 3-point attempts in the entire country. And on the back of their 3-pointers, they're, again, just trailing by just 3 points. Going into this game, FSU is 7-6, and they're going into their first ACC game of the season. And so I've always kind of asked this question. I mean, starting off the season pretty strong, but then having a pretty miserable first half of December. Is this team for real, would you say? And do you have any expectations for Laux' first year?
Well, I don't know if they're for real yet. And I think, you know, a game like tonight, you know, going against, you know, North Carolina, you know, a team that's, you know, on the verge of being a top 10 squad with just one loss this year is going to tell you a lot. I mean, you know, when it comes to any sport, once you get into conference play, I mean, you really start to kind of figure out who your team is. You know, these universities are familiar with you. They kind of know how you get down, whatever. So I think right now going forward is when you're really going to find out more about the Florida State basketball team. You know, they say, you know, you got a first year head coach. There's going to be some ups and downs, but you know, even if they end up losing this game, you know, a good showing against a quality team like North Carolina, I mean, that instills confidence. That, you know, gets guys who were maybe thinking about committing to Florida State basketball in the future. That can, you know, make them more, liable to do that. So I think now going forward, you know, you start playing in North Carolina, you start playing Duke and stuff like that. You see how you fare against those guys. That's when you'll see where the team is necessarily. But I would tell Florida State basketball fans to just, you know, be, you know, patient, because you have a first year guy, and first year guys always get a little bit of rope. So I wouldn't get too high or too down on the team just yet.
Absolutely. And, you know, other than the kind of just miserable December that they've had, they've actually put up some pretty good performances. I mean, only losing by 2 to a 10th ranked Florida team. That I think shows kind of the most grit that Laux is kind of putting into his players, if that makes sense. Laux, when in the times that I've been able to talk to him, both at Florida State's sports management student association meetings and as well as a couple of press conferences, I can tell he's for real. I can definitely kind of see the vision that he's going for. I mean, he's an NBA guy. He came from the Sacramento Kings, and the NBA is 100% a 3-point league. And FSU, again, number 3 in the country for 3-pointers. So I think that his kind of NBA lessons that he's learned from the NBA is definitely applying to this team.
Gotcha. And just to kind of go back to the football side, another loss that I think was pretty big was Omar Graham Jr., you know, the linebacker. Oh, yeah. That one was one that I was really hoping that they could bring back too, because that's, you know, was probably the best linebacker on your roster. You know, and linebacker has been a very, very, very tough spot for Florida State to recruit on the high school level for quite some time now. You know, you have, you know, Isaiah Williams coming in, one of our highest rated prospects for 26, 4-star guy. But the only thing is, he's coming off a torn ACL. He didn't play his whole senior year. So, that's, kind of a red flag. So, yeah, I was kind of hoping they could retain him. They also lost, Jaden Parrish, but, he only played in 2 games. So that's not a really big loss there. And he only lost 3 tackles while he was here. But yeah, that was a big one. And also, man, I this one really hurt me too, was when Javon Boggs, the wide receiver, went to the portal. Because I mean, we didn't even get to see, even the tip of the iceberg of what he can do. He had 9 catches for 103 yards and a touchdown, but he was supposed to be one of the foundational pieces going forward for the next few years. After that, record-breaking senior season he had at Cocoa High School, when he had the 99 catches, over 21 yards, and over 20 touchdowns, and he had the single game record 378 in the semifinals that year. So he was very, very good hands, good route runner, good after the catch. Those were like a lot of his positives, on his scouting report. But the fact that he was only here for one year and already out the door was big for me. Now, granted, Florida State is bringing a very deep wide receiver class for 2026. They got, I think it's 4 blue chip guys. With Devin Carter, kind of being the one of the crown jewels of that. But you would like to see those guys come in and have a guy like Javon still on the roster. So that one was definitely big. And then, of course, the cornerback, Jabril Rawls, who was really, really, really starting to take strides to me. So that's definitely a loss to the cornerback room. So, yeah, man, like I said earlier, I knew this was coming, but if somebody told me that 30 players left Florida State, I would have probably thought we would be in like February or maybe March, something like that. Not, before the new year or whatever. But that's just kind of where we're at, man. Losing in this day and age, it brings that. And one of the more disappointing guys that entered the portal was James Williams, who came from Nebraska, because he was supposed to be our top pass rush guy. He played under Tony White, played under Terrence Knighton and all that, but he just could not make any impact, man. He was supposed to be a big sack guy. He only had, I think, 1.5 sacks. He had 3 tackles for loss, 19 tackles total, but he wasn't good against the run. And he didn't get anything for us in the pass rushing aspect. So he was a big disappointment, because he was one of the bigger transfer portal additions, especially with his ties to Tony and Terrence Knighton. So yeah, man, it's just a lot of whiffs. Oh, also another one, wide receiver Elijah Moore. That was another one that hurt, because he, former blue chip prospect, only ended up getting 69 yards in 2 years. I mean, if you would have had those 2 guys still on the roster, him and Boggs, with this class, I think you could have felt a lot better about the receiver position in the future. But for whatever reasons, just couldn't, get on the field consistently, couldn't show enough. But I think he got a lot of potential, wherever he goes. I think he's still got 3 years of eligibility left. So, yeah, man. A very, very long list of guys that are going. And also shout out to Brock Glenn, who went to the portal, quarterback. Best of luck to him. You will always be remembered for stepping in for Jordan Travis and helping us win that ACC championship that should have still gotten us to the playoff no matter what. But, as they call it, Brocktober will always live in Tallahassee. So, Brock Glenn, you didn't necessarily put up a whole lot of stats and all that, 895 passing and 162 rushing. But, I mean, what he did for us at the tail end of 23 to secure the ACC championship was, he'll always be remembered for that too.
Someone will always be able to buy him a beer if he comes back,
Yeah, for sure.
And to your point on cornerbacks, one guy I feel like has been pretty just kind of slept on in terms of the recruiting class, Chauncey Kennan. I mean, he's the third best cornerback in this class, according to 24/7 Sports. I mean, guy might be the next. Oh, who's a great Florida State cornerback in history? He's off the tip of my tongue. Trying to think of like a FSU comparison. Jalen Ramsey. You could be the next Jalen Ramsey. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kennan could be. I feel he could be an amazing player for us if we were able to develop him. I mean, Florida State could be the next DBU. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, he's our top rated prospect. He was at once a 5-star guy, and now then he got bumped down to like a high 4-level guy. But to me, he's still a 5-star prospect. Regardless of what they say. You look at his length, his range, his scheme, versatility, and all that. So yeah, he's a guy that I think can come in and compete for playing time as a freshman. So he definitely has one of the biggest spotlights on him for next year as a guy that can impact the school or the program in year one. And the way it's looking, we probably going to need it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Chauncey Kennan is definitely one of the ones that I have my eye on. And even Kevin Wynn, the defensive tackle that came in last year. I think he's going to have a big opportunity to make an impact next year. You got a comment: is FSU going to have enough players on the team next year? Hey man, that's definitely a good question, because I mean, at the rate all these guys going, going to the portal or whatever, they have to definitely change some things up. But yeah, man, like I said, I didn't expect them to lose. Not that I didn't expect them to lose this many guys, but I didn't expect them to lose this many guys in December. This is these guys have all left in the last few weeks, so that part is a little bit surprising. But like I said, this is the cost these days of losing games. You can't just, you don't have to just stay on the team and ride it out and try to figure out. You can throw your name in the portal and you can go to quote unquote greener pastures. So that's just the time we live in, man.
Absolutely. And speaking of recruiting, but shifting back to basketball, they've been able to get guys like LeJay Jones, Robert McCray, excuse me. It seems like Laux is also leaning heavily on the portal. So is that kind of the new blueprint for both the basketball team and the football team, you think?
I mean, that's definitely the way it's looking. It's looking like the basketball team is kind of taking the blueprint from the football team. I mean, I know Florida State's basketball program isn't as prestigious as the football program or anything, but yeah, it kind of seems to be a widespread thing as far as the athletics go. The two big dogs with football and basketball. So, hopefully the basketball team doesn't lean too much into it, what Florida State does. I mean, I get why they have, in a way, because you're trying to fill your roster out. You're trying to get some proven guys in here. You're trying to get better product on the field. But to me, the best way to do that is to develop the guys that you bring in. And they're not doing that. These guys are leaving. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think that they really need to start nailing the stuff down, is that why are you not developing these guys that you're getting? Because you're getting enough raw talented players to be developed into really good college players. But for some reason, of course, sometimes injuries, come into it and stuff like that. But like guys are just not getting developed, and some of them coming along slower than you would like. So, what is the issue there? And to me, that speaks to coaching too. I mean, of course, a lot of it's on the player. The player has to put in the work and show they can do it. But this is a consistent thing. These players come in and out. Some of these coaches have been here for a while. So this has been a reoccurring problem. It's not just like this year. It's been happening for a while now. So, yeah, man, sucks.
Alas. But some piece of good news for you. You mentioned in the pre-show that you were a UNC fan. They're actually up 62-46. They're on an 18-3 run in the last 6 minutes.
Hey,
so that's fun.
Hey, yeah. I said I'm a Florida State football fan. I'm a UNC basketball fan. So,
and so I was actually talking with a couple of my co-writers over at Tomahawk Nation. They were telling me that, basketball, it's a much smaller team. So obviously, the more you invest in it, kind of, the more you're kind of going to get out of it, is what I was learning. So, let's say you have, a budget of $5 million that gets somehow magically appears. You get $5 million. You can do, it was Christmas morning. You can do whatever you want with it. You can get $5 million and put that towards maybe a mediocre defensive player, or you can get like the guy for your basketball team. So my kind of opinion, I say that word lightly, is just because I feel like basketball could be such a better use of some of the funds that are being like routed towards football if they are able to just give the basketball program and give Locke specifically the resources and the money he needs to go after these kind of top 10 guys in the country, top 15, top 20. FSU basketball could be a dynasty under Locks, I think. And again, it really just comes back to the money aspect, because if you're spending X amount of money on a football guy, sure, that's good, but I think the money just goes a lot further in basketball.
Yeah. I say we're in a whole new era of sports, man. And the thing is, like, it's going to get crazier and crazier as the years go on. The money's going to go up, and you're probably going to start seeing guys stay even shorter in a short amount of time. They are now. Some of these guys that have been in programs for 2 or 3 years, they're probably going to pull a Mario Nash Jr. or a Jesse Harold and stay 1 year. Like, this ain't it, and I'm out. That's my only drawback with it. I say I get the benefits of it, but I think sometimes it makes processes kind of lazy, because that you can just easily throw your name in the hat and go somewhere else instead of like grinding things out. So yeah, man. And now we got the second wave of National Signing Day coming up in February, and I think now, Florida State's going to have to try to really nail some of these guys on the back end that they've been recruiting with, all the guys that they've lost. So I think the February National Signing Day has become more important for them now, because they've lost so much.
Very true, and we'll see how Laux kind of adjusts to this style of ACC play that's kind of dominated college basketball for the last 20, 30 years. And so, as of right now, they're up. UNC is actually up, if I can do the math here, 16 points. 62-46. Yeah, 16 points. So it was close. It was like 46-43 before we got on. But yeah, I think Florida State basketball could be back. It's just going to take a couple more years.
Yeah, man. So, do you have anything else to add as far as the portal guys with the football team? You got anything else you want to add? Any other guys you think that are losses or?
Absolutely. I will just say Jason Lopez. He's a two-sport phenom, both football and basketball. So it wouldn't surprise me if we could see him in either. We could see him in both. See him in both, perhaps, actually.
And he's definitely one of the guys that's coming in 26. That him and as I mentioned, Devin Carter. Those are like the two headliners as far as the receivers go. So now I'm definitely interested to see if they could come in and get some shine in year one, because he's just such a great athlete. He's top tier in both sports. It's not like he's really good in one and he's really good in both. You know what I'm saying? So I think he has an opportunity to make himself kind of a Florida State legend around here if he could star in both sports, especially if that equates to helping get the football team back to prominence in a way and elevating the basketball team. So yeah, Jason Lopez is a very interesting, I don't even want to say football or basketball, just an interesting athlete at Florida State, because he's going to be going across multiple sports. So yeah, I'm definitely big on Jason Lopez for sure.
And we'll see how he does.
Yes, sir.
You got anything else? You want to wrap this up?
No, man. That's it for me, man. Just hopefully, for the rest of the week, we don't keep getting more, portal updates from, Hayes Fawcett and, those boys over there at CBS and, Rivals and all that, because it seems to be, it's either them or I'm getting a Twitter notification from the transfer portal, account about another Seminole going. So I'm hoping that slows down a little bit. We almost got through the whole day today without somebody going. And then they had a reserve offensive lineman. Ty Hilton, the guy who was here for 2 years. He actually entered the portal. Who didn't even play any games in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. Like it's so easy to do it now. A guy that didn't even see the field, who took a red shirt last year, hasn't even touched grass in college. He's already in the portal. So that's just my only drawback. It's just too easy to leave and do stuff now. But yeah, that's it, man. We will be back every Tuesday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. From now on, that is the new day as opposed to being Monday and all that. We'll be talking on the back channel about what we want to talk about next week. But this was a good first show as a tag team, man. Like I say, I remember when Jackson hit you up about it and you hit me up like, hey, like this is real. Like, oh no, this is a real guy. He's a real person. I've actually talked to him and stuff like that. So don't worry about it, because I trust. I mean, I know the Twitter DMs now. You really gotta watch them when you get them. There's a lot of spam stuff going on. Yeah, there's this big spam thing going on right now. In Cowboys land. I'm a Cowboys fan. About people's accounts getting hacked with these DM messages. So, but yeah, guys, we appreciate your patience with the channel. We had a little rough, going of it, during the season, but we finally got our co-host now. I think Jacob is a great addition to the channel, going to help us grow this thing and get more people in here every week. He's a knowledgeable guy, fantastic writer. Go check his stuff out at FSU Wire. And where else do you see you right?
Tomahawk Nation as well. So that's
Tomahawk Nation as well.
We're SB Nation co-writers too.
Yeah, SB Nation co-writer. Yeah, 'cause I'm with Blogging the Boys. So, yeah, man, you guys just keep tuning in every Tuesday. Of course, we'll be making different changes to the show. We'll have some things lined up for when the next regular season comes around. And things like that, but we're just gonna take it one show at a time. The more reps we get, the better we'll get. So I appreciate you, joining me and helping get this thing back rolling, man. I really appreciate you, Jake.
Yeah, of course, and I'll be rooting for your Tar Heels reluctantly tonight. Your reward for having me on. So I think that's a fair trade.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us tonight. My first kind of live stream on this kind of Florida State platform. It's a privilege to be on here, and it's a privilege to be with you, Matthew. So thank you very much, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful New Year's. We'll see you back here on Tuesday. Have a good night, everyone.
Be safe. Go Noles.